1-800-798-3756. That's 1-800-798-3756. Or order online at getflexseal.com. Call or click now.
While Congressman Anthony Weiner spent a week repeatedly lying, was there any way, other than the holes in the story, that we could have uncovered the truth? Let's bring in the professionals, body language expert and author of The Yes Factor, Tonya Reiman, and Fox News contributor, Dr. Keith Adler. Good to see you both. Thank you for being here. Tonya, first you. There was an interview that the congressman gave earlier this week, one of which was with Jonathan Karl. He'd arranged the whole thing in his office so that he could control the environment. Let's just play that, because what is incredible to me is how good a liar he was, if that's the right way of putting it. Let's play that tape.
Okay.
Young women on their Twitter accounts from not even from their district. You know, you've several young women in your account. 40,000 people follow you. You only follow a couple of hundred.
It's really outrageous. As the implication is outrageous. First of all, no. If you ask the question, it's outrageous. I have a right to say it's outrageous.
Okay.
Now, that is classic Weiner, of course, going on the attack. Yes. The best defense is a good offense. But what scares me is I see no signs of a lie, and he was a real good liar, wasn't he?
Right. So let me tell you what the red flags were. Several. First, he looks down a lot. And when you look down a lot, it's indicative of either deception, shame, anger, hostility. Secondly, that little smirk that he puts on his face,
which he seems to have perpetually,
especially recently, that's usually a mask. It's to cover up the emotion that he's feeling. And then finally, you see the anger leak out again when he starts to point his finger.
Yes.
So those are things. Sometimes anger does not equal honesty. And we go back to Clinton with that, and we saw with that.
So you could have spotted the lie in that statement when he was talking with Jonathan Karl.
When I was watching that, and it went back to the first press conference, my initial reaction was, there's something there. There are too many red flags to recognize that he's not hiding anything. Okay. But, you know, at that point, was it just a picture he was trying to hide? Did somebody actually hack in, take one of his pictures, and he was too ashamed to talk about it? So there were many red flags. You just didn't know for sure.
Well, Dr. Abloh, you know, I'm not an expert in body language, obviously, but I couldn't tell the guy was lying. Is he one of those pathological liars that convinces himself that he's telling the truth?
No, look, I don't think that people who are quote-unquote pathological liars lose sight of the truth themselves. They just want us to lose sight of the truth. And in fact, they're not that great at it because they don't have enough regard for the truth to know what constitutes a great lie. You know, the things that Weiner puts in between commas are telling. He says that the question's outrageous because the implication is outrageous. Well, wait a sec. The question, is that a question that's ridiculous? There's no truth to it? Or you're now saying that the implication that people may take from it, that's the thing that's outrageous. He gives himself an escape clause to almost every statement he makes.
All right. Well, some people say he's just a shameless liar. There was some sign of shame, or at least an attempt at shame, yesterday at the press conference. Let's play that and then get the experts to respond.
I love my wife very much. I love my wife very much, and we have no intention of splitting up over this. We have been through a great deal together, and we will weather this. I love her very much, and she loves me.
Is that genuine shame, Tonya?
It's shame, yes, but you know, you see the anger still in his mouth when he pulls his mouth in tight, the inward lip roll, that's shame and that's anger. In addition to that, he's still being evasive. He's still not answering the question, and he's using repetition, just repeating the same statements over and over again, which tell me that there's probably embarrassment but not remorse.
Doctor, would you trust anything this guy says in the future?
Zero. In other words, if we do, we're foolish. He's told us who he is. He doesn't have regard for the truth. His shame or sadness, his sadness is the sadness of somebody who might be trying to steal his way into your home on the second floor in a ladder. The ladder falls, he skins his knees. He's sad. He didn't get into your house, and his knees hurt. But it's not that he's internalized anything about what it means to lie to reporters, what it means to take a reporter's career and try to trash it for your own benefit. That's who he is. That goes way back to his upbringing and development.
All right, one final point, which is the question of his crying, so-called. I put it in quotes because I'm not sure he really was. Let's play that tape and get the experts to respond.
I brought pain to people I care about the most, and the people who believed in me. And for that, I'm deeply sorry. I apologize to my wife and our families.
Tonya, was he really crying there?
You know, it's tough to say from that angle, but I will tell you this. Because of what we know about him, if he was crying, it was purely for his own benefit. This was tears about himself, not about anyone else. You know, you heard the sniffling, which is usually the water leaks in, the nose starts to run, but it was a lot of sniffling and no tears coming down, so.
Gotta leave it at that. Tonya Reiman, Keith Abloh, great to see you both. Thank you very much for coming here. Coming up on deck, you think gas prices are too high? Well, believe it or not, they're not high enough, at least according to one major auto executive. We'll tell you who. And we